In this video, I'm going to show you how you can get up all your pine needles, or a very efficient way. Look at this stuff. Look how thick it is. Ugh. Using a blower. What? Alright, so actually I was mowing this up. I did a different video basically comparing rake versus mower, and I like the mower, but I blew a spark plug, and I had to wait a couple of days for the new one to come. In the meantime, I was still left with all of my pine needle mess, and so I had the idea, what if I got my blower out, my battery powered blower? So check this out. Looks like a hot mess, right? It kind of is, but I figured out a way. If you approach this methodically and you have a plan and a strategy, it's not just blowing it all away, but it's actually moving quite a bit of pine needles for you. Yeah, you might get a little dusty here. Well, that's all good. You're doing yard work, right? Quit whining. And look at this. It actually moves a considerable amount of pine needles into the general direction that I want it to go. So the idea here is to approach it from the angle that you want, and that you're blowing all the pine needles into the direction that you want it to go, right? That's a simple concept. Easier said than done, I know. In this case, I'm trying to push everything that way. I've also got pine needles into my lawn. So check this out. I'm going to come down here. My backyard's kind of hilled, sloped. And I'm going to work from down, going from down the hill, kind of walking up the hill. And I'm pushing it all up the hill, basically. But look at the power on this thing. This is pretty cool, I think. Maybe I'm just a big DIY nerd. I don't know. Now, it's pretty concentrated. If you get a really thick part underneath the tree, for example, it'll just blow a hole right through it. So you want to keep it moving left to right and start from the top of the bottom. Look how thick this particular pile is. If you try to blow all the bottom stuff out first, you're not going to have much luck. So start at the surface of the pine needle depth, if that makes sense, and try to push it off layer by layer into the direction that you want it to go. Can you see if I go too low here, the pine needles actually start to fall over on top and it really doesn't move much. But if you start higher on the depth, it's going to push the top layer out and then you kind of work your way down, if that makes sense at all. And so this is a very effective getting into tough areas where your rake can't get into, or your mower. I mean, how else am I supposed to get in there unless I'm using my bare hands? But this is a pretty cool life hack, I think, / shortcut. And it actually ended up saving me quite a bit of time and money. And I have a pretty nice blower, I'm not going to lie. Sorry, I'm not sorry. And so the battery is actually quite strong. Ooh, here's another look at that. The power. Again, if you go too low, it's going to create a hole or a vortex, and things are just going to kind of fall on top of each other. But still, look at that. I love this blower. I'm going to put a link down below for this blower and maybe some other more affordable. Not that this one breaks the bank. It's 150 bucks or so, I think, is what we spent on it. But obviously, it gets the job done. And on one charge, I was able to move all of my pine needles and my grass all the way up the hill. You can see the piles up there. And it took me 7 minutes or whatever. It was great. And from there, I can actually rake it up, and it's a little more manageable and easier. So hopefully this has helped you.